Swiftly and harshly are the two words that come to mind. It was really incredible to see every politician we spoke with here and every politician who spoke on stage denounced the initiative of the Heritage Foundation president, denounced that message, condemned it, saying there's no room in the party for the likes of Nick Fuentes. There's no room in the party for giving him an open platform as Tucker Carlson did. There was no equivocation. There was no but ifs, just swift denunciation of the message coming out of the Heritage Foundation. Really, as Randy Fine said, the representative from Florida said it's the opposite of what we saw from the Democratic Party. And Fine taking the stage saying, listen, the Democrats were against anti-Semitism, but they let it fester in their party for so long that it essentially took hold. It became its own Frankenstein, so to speak, and that we, being Republicans, can't allow that same thing to happen here. We can't allow it to go unchallenged. And Fine even brought up students in front of the stage holding up signs saying Tucker is not MAGA, meaning Tucker Carlson doesn't represent the Make America Great Again wing of the party. So across the board, that's what we heard. Now, we sat down with Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina and asked him to comment on J.D. Vance's answer to a vehemently anti-Semitic question from a young college student just a few days prior to the Republican Jewish Coalition Summit. Here was his answer on Vance's equivocation of sorts.
Maybe inartful. You know, J.D., Israel tells me he's been really good in all these meetings. I like J.D., but here's my answer. When some young college student suggests that maybe our support of Israel is misplaced, that we're spending too much money to help Israel gets us in more problems than they're worth, I say you need to, pick up a history book. You know, the tenet of the faith, the evangelical community, is God blesses those who bless Israel. There's nothing wrong with our brain being wired. If you don't like Jerusalem being the capital of Israel, then take it up with God. He's the one that did it, not me. So I'm never going to give the Golan Heights back to Syria because they'll use it to attack Israel. Bottom line here is that we need to be clear, concise, and a bit emotional. We're going to stand by Israel. We're not going to fall out of God's favor. We're not going to pull the rug on one of the best allies any American could hope to have. And we're going to help Israel make America safer by taking on radical Islamists who would come here if they could get here. That's the answer.
Now, while the subject of heritage and anti-Semitism dominated much of the conference, of course, there's still foreign policy to discuss, and that in spades. We had an opportunity to chat with Yechiel Leiter, the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., and chatted with him about the Gaza peace plan and the inclusion for the Americans of the Qataris and the Turks and other entities that Israel just doesn't want involved. We asked him about that. Here's the answer from Ambassador Leiter.
You know, I mean, if the president of Turkey would stop talking about marching on Jerusalem and an Ottoman Empire, it would be very helpful. We don't have a problem with Turkey. The president has a problem with us. We'd love to go back into a period of relationships with Turkey where hundreds of thousands of Israelis visited Turkey every year. We'd love to have a very, very productive relationship. The President of the United States has been able to bring them in despite their antipathy towards Israel. And I think that might be the beginning of a healing process where they'll be able to, under the aegis of American guidance, to create a greater affinity, understanding, and ultimately friendship with the State of Israel. That's what we're looking for.
Now, the appointment of Ambassador Leiter controversial to begin with because he's a quote-unquote settler. He's a Jewish resident of Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. I asked him, given the comments from the Trump administration, we heard it vehemently from Donald Trump himself, from J.D. Vance, there will be no annexation for Israel of the West Bank. What came to mind for him as a resident of that region when he heard those comments from the American administration? Here again, Ambassador Leiter's response.
You know, look, the vote that the Knesset took last week was declarative, and the response was declarative. The declarative vote in the Knesset was declarative vis-a-vis the declaration of European countries saying that they're unilaterally recognizing a Palestinian state. So they actually started this series of declarations on all sides. Everybody's just got to calm down. and put everything in context. We're not about to embark on a unilateral annexation, and we're certainly not about to embark on a unilateral withdrawal and the creation of a Palestinian state.
One last note here, Benita. The conference this weekend involved speeches from all 4 House Jewish Republicans. There was only one House Jewish Republican just a few years ago. It's grown to 4. Randy Fine told me he's working on, quote unquote, the Minion Project. They want to get 10 Jewish House Republicans, although the various Jewish Republicans have different ways of getting to those 10. But it's an eclectic mix, one from Tennessee, one from Ohio, one from Texas, one from Florida. They figure if they can scour the New Yorks, the Miamis, the Los Angeleses of the world for candidates, they can get that minion sooner or later.